Okay. You're safe? You're entered already? You're in you came?
Everybody's waiting for you, Yosef.
You're safe is here already. Okay, Tov, I see you have some nice show. You have people in the car.
Yeah, we're on the way to the city actually for doctor appointment.
Okay, so everyone should be very successful. The appointment should go good.
Yeah, thank God. We are up since like 6 o'clock, so.
That's okay. That not too bad.
Okay, very good. Yaron says hello. Okay, morning, everybody.
Good morning, Yosef.
Okay, good morning.
Bonjour.
Drive safe. Drive safe.
Okay,
Qu'est-ce que c'est là, français?
we're in the 8th parak, we're in the Mishnah. Okay, and then Aleph on the base. The Mishnah says the following. You sent the group, people read it? Read your message or not? Okay. Bishamayom Rim, Musi Shabbat, we say a bracha on the Eish, on the fire. And we say, the question is, what is the appropriate bracha to say on Eish, on Musi Shabbat, on Saturday night? Bishamayom Rim is another dispute between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. This has nothing to do with Sudah. You know, the Mishnah said these are the following are the things that have to do arguably with Shammai, Beis Hillel, with Sudah. And now we're not talking about something about Sudah. We're talking about independent of Sudah. I presume the reason why the Gemara got into this is because we just mentioned the last case we mentioned when you have Birkat HaMazon and Havdalah and Ner and Samim. We just mentioned the machloket between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. So now we're going into another machloket here, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, regarding what's the bracha by Borei Morei Ha'esh. Beis Shammai Omrim, you say, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam Shebora Mo'or Ha'esh, that you created the light of the fire, not Morei Ha'esh. He doesn't say that you say the Morei is the lights, the different lights of the fire, right? As you see, there's different colors, and the fire has different colors. What do you got? You got some blue in there, you got some white in there, you have different colors in the, and Beis Hillel says you need to talk about the Morei. It's not appropriate just to say Ma'or HaShemesh. And in the Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Reish, we have it over here. Yes, in Siman Reish Sadiches, in Reish Sadiches, we'll take a look in the Shulchan Aruch regarding the halacha of Havdalah on Motzei Shabbat. So it says that there's a siman called Tini Ner Havdalah, the halachas of the Ner for Havdalah. So it says, you say the bracha, Borei Mo'orei Ha'esh. You say Mo'orei Ha'esh. Why do you say Mo'orei Ha'esh? Good morning, Akiva. Because there's a lot of lights in the fire. There's white, there's red. It's not red, white, and blue. It's red, white, and yellow. If you said Mo'or Ha'esh, if you said the way Beis Shammai says, according to the Bach, you are not Yotzei, and you would have to say the bracha again. And if you say that's the opinion of. If you said Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam Borei Mo'or Ha'esh, if you only mention the light of the fire, and you don't mention the different lights, there's different colors. You need to mention and recognize that's interesting how the details of it's not enough just to talk about that God created the fire, but the details of the colors of the fire, how Hashem created the fire, the way Hashem made the fire, to recognize, to praise Hashem for that colorfulness, that color that Hashem is given to the fire. I mean, the question really you might ask is what's so significant about the colors of the fire? Because really the main thing about fire is the fire, it gives a light. What's the significance? But obviously you have to say, most probably this is the way, this is part of the greatness of Hashem. That he's able, that this is what he created, that the fire should have these multicolor fire, and one needs to recognize that the greatness of the great artist, Hashem. And therefore you have to go ahead and recognize and praise it and say it. That's just interesting. What do you say, Yaron? Interesting, Yaron. Mura Mureh. Ein mevorchim. Then the Mishnah says, Ein mevorchim al ner v'lo al b'samim she'ovet kochavim. If let's say the guy used the candle on Shabbat, the guy used the candle on Shabbat, and now it's after Shabbat, and you want to use this candle. So you can't, the Mishnah says you can't use this candle that, according to this opinion in the Mishnah, and in the Shulchan Aruch, it's in Siman, in Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Reish Sadik Ches. See, what does it say about a candle of a non-Jew? So it says, if a candle didn't, so the Shulchan Aruch says, Ein mavochim al ner, it did not rest from work. So, from shalosh shavas imlachas aveira. So what does that mean? So the Mishnah Berurah says, if a candle was lit on Shabbat, if the candle was lit on Shabbat, you can't go ahead and use that that candle. And then you want to use that fire. Someone lit, let's say a Jew lit a candle, but it would seem that this would apply to a Gentile also. The Gentile, if someone lit the candle on Shabbat, let's see the Shulchan Aruch says, if a non-Jew lit a candle on Shabbat, since if a Jew would have lit the candle, it would have been a sin for the Jew to light the candle. Good morning, Mike. How are you, Mike?
Good morning, Rabbi. Good morning.
We're discussing the Ner of Havdalah. The Mishnah says that you can, on Nun Aleph of a base, you cannot cannot recite a bracha. Yaron says hello. Mike, Yaron says hello.
Yaron, hi. Oh, I like this, Rabbi. Back to the old days. This is good.
Yes. So the Mishnah says that you cannot recite a bracha on a candle that was lit by a non-Jew. And the way the Shulchan Aruch explains,
a non-Jew is not allowed to light the Ner of the Havdalah.
No. So I'm saying he's talking about if the non-Jew lit it on Shabbat. If a non-Jew lit a candle on Shabbat, let's say at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, a non-Jew lit a candle, and the candle is still going. It's still going. It's on. This candle is on.
The question is not, can you use that candle to make Havdalah?
Right. Can you say a bracha on the light that was lit by the non-Jew, and he lit it on Shabbat? He did not light it on Motzei Shabbat, because if the non-Jew lit it Motzei Shabbat, it would seem like you could say a bracha on that.
Oh wow.
But if see, we're going to see that case in a moment. That case, it's going to say like this. It says, if morning is at Morris, the halacha says, if a non-Jew lit a candle on Shabbat, since I can't light the candle on Shabbat, and if I would light the candle on Shabbat, it would be I can't use it Motzei Shabbat, because it would be considered a candle that was lit in sin. So we say a non-Jew, if he lights the candle on Shabbat, since if I would have lit it, it would be a sin. So therefore, it's also considered, since I have no right to light the candle on Shabbat, so if a non-Jew lights the candle on Shabbat, it's also no good for that candle to be used. So therefore that's what the Shulchan Aruch says.
Rabbi,
Um, It's a- right.
It might be a sin, but now what you're saying is the non-Jew, if they are shy, can use it for that.
No, but it says in the Shulchan Aruch, you can't make a bracha on a candle that did not rest from meleches avera. Now, meaning a candle that was lit in sin, I can't say a bracha on that candle. So if a Jew, let's say you have a secular, not religious Jew, and he went ahead and he lit the candle during Shabbat, and the candle is lit. Can I say a bracha on that candle? No. Motzei Shabbat, he lit the candle, he lit a Havdalah candle, or whatever, he lit a candle. According to the halacha, if you have only one candle, you could say a Borei Moreish on one candle. We use two. The Chatchila, you put two things together, you do multiple wicks. But technically, if you have one candle, you could say Borei Moreish on one candle if you're stuck, if you have no other candle. So let's say a non-religious Jew lit a candle while it was still Shabbat in Tel Aviv, Haifa, whatever it was, and you're in that house. Can you say a bracha Borei Moreish on that candle? No. Let's say he lit it bein hashmashot. Let's say he didn't wait till Shabbat was over. He said it was after sunset, but after sunset, Shabbat is not over yet. You have to wait till it's dark to say Sakachavim, and he lit the candle. I cannot say a bracha because it was lit in be'isur. It was lit in sin. So too, even though the Gentile has no sin to light a candle for himself on Shabbat, he's a Gentile. But since I cannot light that candle on Shabbat, so we will not use the candle that was lit on Shabbat, even if it was lit by a non-Jew. So that's the first halacha. Now, it says here in the Shulchan Aruch, if a Jew lit the candle from a non-Jew, you could go ahead and use the candle if the Jew lit from the non-Jew the candle. Now, but
what does it mean, Rabbi?
That means this. It means like this. Let's say a non-Jew lit a candle, and the Chofetz Chaim says, even if the non-Jew lit the candle on Shabbat, the non-Jew made a fire on Shabbat, and Motzei Shabbat, and after Shabbat, I go ahead and I want to use his fire. Let's say he's smoking a cigarette. The non-Jew is smoking a cigarette, and he lit the cigarette on Shabbat, and I need a fire for Havdalah, and I take my candle. I say, can I use your or he has a lighter. I said, I don't have a light and he lights his lighter. He puts on his lighter, and then I took my candle and I take fire from his lighter. That's no problem. Will not be
Rabbi, because it's after Shabbat.
It's after Shabbat, and even if the non-Jew lit a candle on Shabbat, the non-Jew lit a candle on Shabbat, and after Shabbat I want to take from his candle that he lit on Shabbat, that's fine. Because to light my candle, because when I am, that will be fine. But the Shulchan Aruch says, but if a non-Jew lit a candle, even Motzei Shabbat, non-Jew from a non-Jew, let's say I have a non-Jewish neighbor, and he went ahead and he lit a candle, and I want to use the candle that he lit. It seems like from over here that we're going to look more about it. I want to look over Shabbat, a little more details on this halacha, but we're going to see this discussion about if a non-Jew lit from another non-Jew, I can't say a bracha on that either. So if a non-Jew from a non-Jew, so we'll table that till Shabbat. But the bottom line is, if the halacha is a Jew lights from a non-Jew, you could go ahead and use that candle. But if a non-Jewish guy lit a candle, right? That's what it is. If a non-Jewish guy lit a candle on Shabbat, and it comes Motzei Shabbat, I want to use that candle without relighting from it, that would be a problem. So we'll see a bit more on next time, more about these halachot. Now the Mishnah continues. The Mishnah says,
where are we, Rabbi, on the Mishnah, please?
Nun Aleph Amud Beis, in the middle of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Ein mevarchim lo al haneh lo b'samah shel akum. The Mishnah says, I cannot say a bracha of borei moreish on a fire that's made by a non-Jew. That means if a non-Jew makes a fire, the Mishnah says, I cannot. Now again, the language of the halacha might only, we have to see for sure if it means he lit it on Shabbat. The non-Jew lit on Shabbat, now it's Motzei Shabbat. I want to use that fire, I can't say a bracha on that fire.
It sounds like everything lit on Shabbat is a problem.
Exactly. Everything that's lit on Shabbat would be a problem. But we saw, Mike, if it was lit by the non-Jew on Shabbat, and Motzei Shabbat, the Jew lights from that non-Jewish candle, that will be fine. To use the candle that the non-Jew lit on Shabbat and just say a bracha over his fire, the fire of the non-Jew that was lit on Shabbat, I can't go do that on Motzei Shabbat. But if I go ahead and I make my own fire from the fire of the non-Jew, that's the halacha says that will be fine.
That's okay. So if a non-Jew lit a fire, he did a bonfire at 5 p.m. on Shabbat, okay, and a Jew comes Motzei Shabbat with this candle and lights from the bonfire, he can do Havdalah with that light, no problem.
Correct. But if he want to just go over to that bonfire after Shabbat, the bonfire that the non-Jew made on Shabbat, and I want to go make a bracha on that bonfire, Motzei Shabbat, cannot do it. That's clear.
I guess they consider that as a newborn fire once you take it from there.
Right. That's why if you take it from there, it will be fine. But if I just leave the fire, that bonfire that he made on Shabbat, or even if he made it right before the end of Shabbat, and I want to say a bracha on that bonfire, I cannot say it, because I did not add to the fire. The Jew, did not add to the fire. I just making the bracha on his fire that he made on Shabbat at a time that I could not have made the fire.
Got it.
Okay, so see that we have to look up, because clearly, if they're not, we have to see if they,
during the week, you cannot use it.
no. So I'm saying,
very like.
you see, what we need.
Because they don't like the candle for us during Shabbat.
And you said we have to see. You see the way we have to. We know the Mishnah is talking about a case when the non-Jew lit on Shabbat. But we have to see. We have to see the case. So what about the non-Jew lit at Motzei Shabbat? Meaning the non-Jew lit at Motzei Shabbat, there might not be a problem. We have to see. That's what we have to look at. We know if the non-Jew lit it on Shabbat, then I want to say a bracha after Shabbat on his candle without relighting from it. Asur. Is that clear?
Yeah,
we have to see what the law would be if the non-Jew lit the candle Motzei Shabbat. What will be the halacha over there? But here we're clear. Okay, about have to take care of.
Like Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, so let's continue in the Mishnah.
Shabbat Shalom, Yaron.
And then, Mike, you have it? Ein mevorchin. First word of the line is mevorchin. You have it, Mike?
Yes, Rabbi, I have it.
Ein mevorchin lo al haneh v'lo b'samah shel akum. You cannot recite a bracha on the candle.
Akum is the guy?
Of a guy, right. Akum stands for Oved Kachavim Umazalot. That's what Akum stands for. Non-Jewish person that you refer to as Akum. You cannot say a bracha on the candle or the psamim of a non-Jew. And the reason why the psamim, but if the psamim, the spices, if it came from a gathering of the non-Jews, they had a gathering and they got together, and usually the gathering is for avodah zarah. And since they gather, the concern over here is that the gathering was to serve avodah zarah, and these samim and these spices might have been already used for the avodah zarah. Since it was used for the avodah zarah, now you're benefiting from, you can't have benefit from something that was used for the avodah zarah. So therefore, that's why you cannot say a bracha on the samim of people who worship avodah zarah. Of the people, if they came, because if this samim came from a get together, from a gathering of the non-Jewish people, we're concerned that at that gathering they went ahead and they used these spices, these samim, for avodah zarah. There's halacha in Shulchan Aruch that says you can't, because the gatherings of avodah zarah, of the goyim of avodah zarah in general, and the Chafetz Chaim says that if they made a gathering, a festive meal, the non-Jews, they had a meal together, and then they had spices at that meal. So most probably they used those spices for idol worship. But if they were not eating at the meal, the non-Jews, the non-Jewish guy, he made spices. And you want to go, can I buy spices from a non-Jew and use this as spices for Havdalah? Yes, that's not a problem. Because the non-Jew, because he didn't use it for avodah zarah. If he had a meal, and well, usually they do things at their meal to serve the avodah zarah. That's the first opinion of the Mishnah Berurah. But then he says that he quotes, that's the opinion, that's what the Taz writes. But he says, but it's better lechatchila to be concerned for the opinion of Rabbeinu Yonah that says that the normal spices of the non-Jews, they planned on selling it for idol worship, to serve the spices to the idols, and you should not say a bracha on that spices of the non-Jew unless you're in a place that they're not planning on using it for idols. What will be the case? Well, let's say he's a merchant. He's a businessman. The non-Jew is selling the spices for business purposes, because when he's selling it for, meaning if he's, meaning there's two types of people that you buy spices from. There's the guy who's the wheeler and the dealer, the businessman who's selling spices, where he makes spices to sell to the masses. So those spices were not intended
My grandfather, Allah Shalom, Rabbi, he used to sell spices.
Right, so those spices were not used for avodah zarah, because their intention was to either use it for food purposes, or it was to sell it to many people, but it would seem like that if it's not that type of a merchant, if a guy is just sells some spices, and
you got to be careful if it's not his business, basically.
Right. So that's what it sounds like. So
the morality is that what you buy to make a mitzvah should come from a pure place.
Exactly, right. So that's the issue here. That maybe the Mishnah is talking about the concern that it was used for avodah zarah because it's coming from a gathering that the non-Jews ate, and maybe they use these spices for avodah zarah. So therefore, it says you can't say a bracha on such a thing. Not on some shel avodah zarah, shel oved kacham of the goyim. Lo al haner v'lo al samim shel mesim. If it's a candle that was lit to honor the kavod hamet, because the person passed away, and they lit a candle, that it should be light in the place where the mate passed away, or samim that was used to take away the smell. There shouldn't be the smell of the mate, the body smells, so therefore they put some spices there. They use these spices, so you're not allowed to go ahead. You're not allowed to, meaning, let me clarify this. If the candle was by the mate, so if you want to say, if a person, let's say he works in the funeral home, in the chapel, and it's Motzei Shabbat, and the guy who works in the funeral home where they keep the body, he walks into the room and there's a candle lit, and they lit the candle in honor of the mate. They lit the candle on Motzei Shabbat in honor of the mate. They didn't light the candle for the light, for the purpose of we want the light, we need the light. They just lit the candle and it's kavod. Like, you see it by the Ashkenazim at a wedding, the parents of the bride and the groom, they carry a candle down with them. The father of the groom, mother of the groom, father of the bride, the mother of the bride, they go down with a candle. Why do they? Now, even if it's daytime, what's the idea of a candle during the daytime? You're not getting any light from the candle, but it's chashuv. Like even if you see a restaurant or you see weddings, it can be brought a lot of light in the room, but they have a little candle on the table. What's the point of that candle? That candle is not coming for its light. Like the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash. Hashem did not need the Gemara says it's not, the light of the menorah was not for its light. Hashem doesn't need the light. It's a kavod. You have a menorah, you have a thing burning, it's honorable. So therefore the purpose of the light of the that was used for the meitim, for the dead body, was to have respect, to show respect to the dead body. They put a light in front. They would have a candle burning in front of the dead body, which is maybe similar that we have in the house of Shiva, like a candle burning. There's a candle burning. It's ner neshama, it's about the neshama, but it's also most probably it's in honor of the mate, also in a certain sense. So since this candle is not being used for its light, the candle is being used for kavod. You don't say a bracha on that candle while it's being used for kavod, because the point of the bracha on Borei Mora'ish is recognizing and praising Hashem for creating fire, and it's the fire, because the fire is going to be used for purposes of light and so on and so forth. And here it's not being used in that purpose of light. Like we say, it's Borei Mo'orei Ha'esh. We talk about the lights of the fire, emphasizing the ability to see, and that's what it would seem like is the focus of what we're thanking Hashem, how the fire, it gives off the light. But the point of the candle by the dead body is not for its light. Therefore, you don't say a bracha on that. So the guy working in the funeral parlor will not say a bracha when he walks into the room where the body is not located, and there's a fire in the room in front of the body. He will not say a bracha borei mora'ish on that fire, because it's not come now. And so too, the psamim if there's psamim in that room where they keep
same concept,
because the psamim in the room of the mate is not because you want to smell the psamim. It's not coming to smell those spices. The spices there are coming for the purpose of removing an odor. It's like deodorant.
So Rabbi, that means that we need to have, this is actually what we have. We have dedicated candle, dedicated psamim for Havdalah.
Right. And the psamim for Havdalah is for the purpose of smelling, to enjoy the smell. Not the psamim that's used for some other purpose. That the psamim is used not for its smell, to remove an odor. I'm going to give you a good example, everybody. What's the difference between deodorant and cologne? Deodorant is not for its smell. Deodorant is to remove a smell. There shouldn't be a smell. You shouldn't perspire. You shouldn't smell. That's the point of deodorant. Cologne is for the perfume, is to give a nice smell. Why does a lady put on perfume? Not to remove a bad smell, to prevent her from perspiring and sweating, because she puts on the perfume because she wants to smell nice. That's the Isema here. The psamim for the mate by the dead body is not to get its smell, to enjoy its smell. It's for some other secondary purpose to remove a bad odor. So therefore, it's not. Therefore, you cannot say a bracha on the psamim or the ner or the fire of a mate. And then the Mishnah continues. V'lo al ner, v'lo al psamim shel avodah zarah. And you cannot make a bracha on a fire or on psamim of avodah zarah. What does that mean? A fire that was lit in honor of avodah zarah. It was lit in honor of avodah zarah. Now you would say it should be obvious. If you can't make we have to see what's the chidush. If you can't say the bracha on a fire that's made for a mate, so what do you need to tell me this halacha that you can't use the fire that's made in honor of avodah zarah? Don't we already know that you can't benefit from avodah zarah? And also you can't make a bracha on samim that's used for avodah zarah. That if they went ahead, let's say they made a spice and they made a little fire with the spices, and they made a nice smell with this fire with the spices, but they made that fire with the spices for avodah zarah. So you can't say a bracha because you now have benefit from avodah zarah. This was used for avodah zarah, and you can't have benefit. So therefore, you can't, if you're going to make a bracha on it, that means you're showing you're having benefit from the psamim. You're smelling the psamim. You can't benefit from something that's used for avodah zarah, and you can't benefit from the light borim or eish. The halacha is you have to be able to have the ability to have benefit from the fire. And if you're going to say a bracha on a fire that you can't say a bracha on fire that you can't have benefit. You know, we look at our nail. We look at that we have a minhag that you go like this when you say the bracha borem eish. That you look at your nails, between your nails and your flesh, to be able to see that you're able to have benefit, right? You're supposed to. But what's the reason why we look at our nails? What do we do most when we make it the bracha borem eish? You take a look. You look over here and you go like this, but you look over here. You want to see that if I could see. Have enough light that I could see this is my nail and this is my skin. That means I'm having benefit from the light. If I can't tell the difference, if there's not enough light that I could see, that I cannot see that this is my nail, this is my flesh, it means I don't have enough light. I need to have the idea of looking at my nails and my flesh and it's to be able to know that's indicative, that indicates that I have a light here that has the ability to give me benefit. There's enough light that I'm benefiting from. And that's the type of light that I could go ahead and say Borei Morhe'esh. So that's what the Shulchan Aruch says. The minhag is to look at the palms of your hand and your fingers and your nails and your fingernails, because that's the minhag, because that will show that you've had enough benefit. And because in the Mishnah Berurah says, because you need to be able to have enough benefit that you can tell the difference between different coins. This coin and that coin, the different coins. And if you have enough benefit that you can see between your fingernails and the flesh, that means you have enough benefit. Now, also, there's another reason. The nails are a simin bracha. The nails are constantly growing. They constantly grow. You have to cut your nails every so often. You look at your nails, symbolic. You want a siman bracha, and Hashem should keep on. You should keep on growing. Physically, you should have pruvu. You should have more children. You should grow in your ruchnius and your spirituality and in your gashmiot. Hashem should give you blessing financially. It should be ribui. There should be growth. That's maybe why they use the nails as the thing to look at. It's a siman bracha. He also says, interesting, that the palm, this is Yosef HaTzadik could help us out on this, that the palm of your hands, you have all these lines in the palm of your hands, right? And all these lines in here, the siman, there are simanim there, the siman to be blessed. Maybe it has some of your, show some of your future blessings that you're going to have. So that's what the Mishnah, because we'll look what the next halacha in the Mishnah is. Ein mivarchin al ner ad sheyotu lo. You cannot say a bracha on a fire unless there's enough light that you could really benefit from. If I take a little, let's say I have a little light, and the light is dwindling and it's flickering and it's very weak light. I lit something for Havdalah, and you see sometimes the wick catches, but it only caught a little bit, and it's like such a small little, it's a spark or something. I can't make a bracha on that. That's not going to give me any benefit, that little spark. It has to be that I have something it's lighting up, that helps me see the difference between certain things. That shows you have benefit. Everybody on the screen, Morris, Akiva, Yosef, Tzaddik, everyone's able to hear clearly what we're saying over here. And then the Mishnah, very good. And then the Mishnah says,
Yep.
Misha Achal. Yes. You were saying something, Akiva? Everybody's still there? Mike, you still there?
Yes, let's continue. Continue, Rabbi.
Okay. Misha Achal v'shachach v'lo beirach. A person ate and he forgot to say Birkat HaMazon, and then he left the place, and then he realized, I didn't say Birkat HaMazon. So what does he do? So of course it's best to always go back to your place where you ate and to say Birkat HaMazon there. But if it's not so easy to go back, Beis Hillel says you can say the bracha, the Birkat HaMazon, where you are, even though you're in a different place. But that's only provided that you left and you forgot unintentionally. But if you knew you didn't say Birkat HaMazon and you intentionally left your place, why did you leave your place? You know you didn't say Birkat HaMazon. But if you intentionally left the place, then you must go back. The case of the Mishnah is, Mishachal Mishachach. A person ate and he forgot. V'lo beirach. And he did not say bracha, he didn't say Birkat HaMazon. And what happened is, Beishamai omim ya'azol l'mkomo v'yavarech. Beishamai says you got to go back to your place. You got to go back to your place and say the Birkat HaMazon. Ubeis Hillel omim yavarech b'makom sheniska. Beis Hillel says you say the bracha in the place that you remember. If you remember a block away, you could say you don't have to go back. If it's not so easy for you to go back, you don't have to go back. And until how long? Again, like I said, we'll see more about that halacha. Until when is the window of time that you could say your Birkat HaMazon until that you didn't lose it? As long as the food did not fully digest, if once it's digested, then you can't say Birkat HaMazon. Because what are you going to be saying Birkat HaMazon on? Birkat HaMazon, I'm thanking Hashem for the food that I ate. But if the food, if I'm not feeling the benefit of the food anymore, because the food is already digested, so therefore I will not be able to say Birkat HaMazon on that.
72 minutes, Rabbi, they say, right? The halacha is 70.
Yeah, but they say 72 minutes, but really I would say that the 72 minutes is in a case when you're not sure if you're really hungry or not hungry anymore. Because if let's say you had a Shabbat meal. A Shabbat meal was a very big meal, and you still feel full from the meal. Even if it's more than 72 minutes, I would
you can do Birkat HaMazon.
You say Birkat HaMazon. Let's say you go to a wedding. You had a lot of food. It was a big meal. And so you would still say the Birkat HaMazon on such a thing. I have the Yalkut Yosef. Let's see what he says on that. Yalkut Yosef is Simon Kuf Pei Dalet. Let's see what the Yalkut Yosef Kuf Pei Dalet. He says the following. he says, here, until when could you say Birkat HaMazon? So he says, if you ate and you were full, you could say Birkat HaMazon as long as you're still full from that eating. That's what he says. It doesn't say here 72 minutes. He says, if you ate, let's Mike, you hear what he's saying? If you ate only a kazayas, says if you ate only an ounce, which is less than being full, let's say he had a very light, he's on a diet, and he ate only 1 ounce of bread, and then, did not really fill you up, then if 72 minutes pass, then you shouldn't say a bracha anymore. But if you ate and you were satiated, I had a real meal, I had a Shabbat meal, I had a meal at a wedding, a real meal that I was full. As long as I'm full from the meal, I don't say, I don't say, sorry, I could say Birkat HaMazon because I'm still full from the meal. It could be 2 hours later. I'm still full. And really, this will play a role. If a guy, let's say, I would think a guy went ahead and he fell asleep. This would be a real halachic issue. He fell asleep Friday night. He didn't say Birkat HaMazon, and he fell asleep for 2 hours. Then he wakes up, fell asleep at the on the couch, which he shouldn't have went to the couch. Don't leave the table. My father, Alav Hashem, says, don't leave the table to say Birkat HaMazon. But he left the table. He listened to my father. He left the table. He sat on the couch. He wakes up 2 hours later, but he's still full. He could say Birkat HaMazon. He had a full meal. He's still full. That's what it would seem to come out. He says in the Sudot Gedolot, in the Yalkut Yosef, that they sit for 4 or 5 hours before they do Birkat HaMazon. Since they're involved in drinking, eating fruits, it's as if, even though the meal took hours, it's as if the food was not digested, and you could say Birkat HaMazon, even though it's past 72 minutes. Okay, I want to wish everyone a beautiful Shabbat. It's nice to have everybody on, nice crowd on this morning. And we'll be back on Sunday around 10 o'clock Sunday morning. All the best.
Thank
Shabbat
you,
shalom.
Rabbi.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi.
It's
you.
good
Thank you,
it's good to
everybody.
listen. It's good to listen
Thank you.
to you,
Thank you.
Mara, in front of us. Thank you very much.
Good Shabbos,
Thank you.
everyone.
Yeah,
Good
yes.
Shabbos.
Good to see
Shabbos,
everybody.
Yes, you too.
Shabbat
Shabbat shalom.
See you,
Shabbat
Mike.
shalom.
Good Shabbos.
Bye-bye. Shabbos,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Shabbos.